Hello, my name is Jim Hemingway. I created these posters I call Pro Football Dashboards recently, and I'd like to tell you about them. What they are is they're basically a 50-year statistical history of an NFL team, shown on a poster, everything right at a glance. So as you're looking at the poster here, you can see that there are 6 images, and I'll kind of define them before we drill in. Up in the top left, you can see what I call the personnel chart. Below that, what we call the season and scoring summary. In the middle, we've got offense on top, defensive metrics on the bottom. On the right-hand side, we've got first-round draft picks and their performance on the top, and Pro Bowl picks by season on the bottom. So let's start with the personnel and drill into that. So across the top is columns. You can see we've got the season starting in the 1966 all the way to 2014. The first group is the coaching legend. So each coach, gets a certain distance here on the little bar, color coded. QBs get their color coding, running backs, same thing, and then the stadiums, you can see Mile High, and then Invesco and Sports Authority down here, and see where they played, more or less for nostalgia. But the purpose of the legends is we then superimpose them on some of the other metrics, the performance metrics, to see what happens when personnel changes. That's one of the goals of the poster, and we'll get into that. So let's drop down to the season and scoring summary. So we've basically got 5 metrics here. So the red lines, the short red line is the number of regular season victories. And then the blue and gray columns are the playoff wins and games played respectively. So, for example, in 1997, they won Super Bowl 32. They played 4 playoff games. They won all 4, and they went 12-4 that season. Down in this section, the green line is points scored. The red line is points allowed. And of course, the axis is reversed. So, good defense is a negative 200 versus a negative 400. And then the green and pink shaded columns are the range of values for the NFL as a whole for that metric. For example, so in '66, the Broncos scored 196 points, and that was close to the bottom of the worst in the league, and the defense was bad too. Then the blue column is what I call the point differential. That's just points for minus points allowed. It shows you the net, and basically was the season successful or not. Early on, you can see they were quite bad. A couple good years in the late 70s and sporadic success since then. So now let's move over to the offensive and defensive metrics. So we've got 4 metrics for offense: yards per game, net yards per pass attempt, percent passing plays, and then how often the team goes for it on 4th down. And then we've got the quarterback legend here. You can see these colors. Those are the same as we had over here. So John Elway is this long purple streak right here. Peyton Manning is here in the gray. Tim Tebow, that little pink square there. Jay Cutler's there in the light brown. And the coaching changes are down here on this color-coded area. So you can see Dan Reeves is the dark green, Wade Phillips is light green for a couple of years, Mike Shanahan's red. One of the goals when I put the posters together is I wanted to be able to show fans, how the statistics correlated with personnel changes and also how they correlated with each other. So a good example of that is what happened when Mike Shanahan came along. So Mike Shanahan is the red coach over here. So he came along in 1995. You can see that the Broncos were throwing the ball, had gone through a couple of seasons where they're throwing the ball a lot. Their defense had also gotten bad too. And you can see the yards allowed per game had been high. Shanahan comes in, the defense improves and stays good for several years. And the team runs the ball a lot more, you can see for the majority of Shanahan's duration, except at the very end when they start throwing the ball a lot more, and that's no surprise because the defense gets worse. The defense allowing a lot more yards, a lot more yards per carry, yards per pass attempt, etc. So you see that how the defense performs influences what the offense is doing. Another example is the quarterbacking changes. Elway is an institution here in Denver, but if you look at net yards per pass attempt, which is a pretty good measure. It's kind of the core of the passer rating. Elway, you can see that the green and pink column here reflects teams that are above and below average in terms of net yards per pass attempt. Well, you can see Elway was pretty much middle of the pack, maybe until the last year or two of his career here. But if you compare that to, for example, Jay Cutler, the 2 light brown squares, Elway was not as good as Jay Cutler. Peyton Manning, very good, best in the league 3 years in a row. And too bad for the Tim Tebow fans. Tim Tebow was a pretty bad passer. You can see his 1 year as the starter, he only averaged 5.2 yards per pass attempt. Now let's move over to the draft picks and the Pro Bowl players. One thing that you see about the Broncos, the x-axis on the bottom here is the number of games played as a pro. And so it's attempting to kind of put in a measure of success to view the draft picks. Well, one thing you notice about the Broncos is the scale ends at 190 over here. Well, that's actually kind of short if you look at other teams. Many of the teams have years where they draft players who 2 or 3 first-round picks where they get 300, 400, 450 games out of their collective career. The Broncos, if you pick 160 as sort of an arbitrary point, which defines a 10-year season, the Broncos have a very, very small number of players. I think they had 5 who had passed 160 games who drafted in the first round, and that's very low. The highest team is the Patriots with 16. 5 is bad, so not a lot of success, at least with first-round picks. Down with the Pro Bowl players, you can see, unlike some other teams where they used to be good and then they got bad over time, like Miami or the Raiders or the Rams, the Broncos have been pretty good. In fact, you can see arguably they're getting better. The x-axis here is the number of picks each year in the Pro Bowl, and you can see, early on, like recently, for example, 2014, they had 11 picks. Back in the 90s and the start of the Terrell Davis, John Elway era, they had 7, 8, 9, 10. But increasing success in terms of getting players into the Pro Bowl. So that's what a Pro Football Dashboard is. I think that they provide a great way for a fan to see the progress of a team, what kind of numbers they put up, and put them in context of what the league as a whole was doing, what personnel changes were going on, and viewing it that way. So if you'd like to get more information, see more of the posters, go out to my dashboard, Pro Football Dashboard, or my website, profootballdashboards.com, all one word, plural, profootballdashboards.com. You can see all the team samples out there and get ordering information. The posters are $39.95 for 1 copy. Buy 2, get the 3rd free. I hope you like them. Go out to the website, order a few, and become a fan. Thank you.